Hi everyone, welcome to the Little Woodshop. I'd like to introduce you to Koenraad, my woodwork friend. We're busy at the moment making a A-frame advertising board for a company. And it's just a quick project, one night, maybe 2 nights, including painting. So guys, you've seen me and Koenraad work on these frames. What this is going to be is going to be an advertisement board, a basic A-frame. I already started, I painted the one white there, just the undercoat. In the end it's going to be red. What we've done is half laps, just a nice beading on top, just to give it some shape. Then we're going to put some perspex. The perspex will be something that's non-reflective and UV resistant, and then a backing board so that they can put ads in. We've just done a simple design. It's really nothing spectacular. Basic half laps, pine wood with normal pine beading on, just to give it some effect. Here we are guys, the two front panels or A-frame painted 2 coats red. Definitely needs one more coat of red, but I'm going to give it an hour to dry first, and then I'll give it a final sand and a coat. So guys, I would like to show you how we got to the final product. What we've done is we made the whole frame out of pine, split a piece of molding up, added it. Let me show you. So guys, to give you a quick rundown how we got to that. We started off with pine 114 by 38. That's now millimeters. We ripped it down to smaller pieces, built the basic frame using half laps, dado stack on the table saw. Then we took a molding, cut it in half to get this, and added it to the frame just to add some more thickness to the frame, and then of course some nice detail on the frame. The paint I use is a water-based paint. First a white undercoat and then the red. The reason for me using a paintbrush with a water-based paints is this stuff is horrible to a spray gun. It dries very fast. It makes a skin inside your spray gun that you really battle to get out and get clean. So that's the way I do it. I use a brush with a water-based paints. So to hold in the backboard and the piece of perspex and the ad or whatever they're going to put in here, to hold that in place, I made little blocks out of a solid wood. Why did I use a solid wood? Because I had it in my scrap bin. Nice and thin. It's thinner than the frame we've got, because if you swing it away, it mustn't be in the way of the backboard to take it out or to replace it. And it's just going to swing over and hold it there. To make this, I'll show you quickly. So guys, I used some 6 or 7 millimeter stock that I had in my scrap bin. I use thin stock like this because the two frames will have to close on each other, and the thicker that is, the further the frames will stand apart. I'll show you a bit later on that. What I've done is just take something that's approximately the same width, mark the corners, cut it off, sand on a disc sander around to get the roundovers, pilot drill, countersink, and that's what we end up with. The reason for the length is the backboard we're using is not as stiff as we would like it to be. So I'm putting more of these and a bit longer than normal. guys, here you'll see me use the disc to my advantage again. On the outside, very aggressive, just to take away the worst, and on the inside, less aggressive, more control. So that's the frame done, guys. I just added some handles, put the chain on, and I made the chain so that one side there's a hook so that I can open it totally to replace the ad, whatever they're going to put in there. My reason for making this project was to show you that with limited tools you can do something small like this. You don't need a dado stack. You can do it with a single blade on a table saw. You can do it with a chisel. A dado stack just makes it much easier. Some paint and a brush. You don't need a spray gun and a compressor. So to make some extra money at home, guys, this type of stuff is the ideal thing to go for. For the next project, guys, we're going to make 4 little bookcases or boxes that's going to take some books. It's also for a art display at some art gallery in Joburg or Pretoria, I'm not sure. I'm going to use this gorgeous piece of wood, South African keyart. The keyart comes from Africa, South Africa, Tanzania, Zambia, Mozambique. It's a gorgeous wood, nice wood to work with. This specific plank is 3 meters long, 240 wide, 30 thick. I'm going to plane it down to about 24, 25 because the wood that's coming for the other 2 cases is a bit thinner. I can't get thick stock like this at the moment. So we're going to try our hand at finger joints on this, see how good we can do it. Get a cup of coffee and enjoy. There we are. They plane down to just below 25 millimeters. As you can see, it's an amazing color wood. It's got very nice grain, and as you will see in the future, they work very nice. A pleasure to work with. Just gonna edge the sides quickly, get my stock. As you can see, I haven't got really any straight edges at the moment. So to get one straight edge, I'm going to use the track saw. I want to see if I can lose as much of the white as possible. So I'm going to edge on that side and then cut to my desired width. And the same with that one. That is a nice plank, except for that little chamfer, but we've got enough space here. I left some extra real estate for the finger joints. So when we cut this up into its 4 separate pieces, we should have enough for 2 little bookcases. quickly make a finger joint sled, I've cut some plywood to the exact width of my slots in my table saw. You don't want slop in it. No movement, but it must move freely. I also thinned it down some on the table saw so that it's narrower than, or shallower than what the slot is thick. I used some thin shims that I had in my scrap bin. Put that underneath. Lift it to be proud of the bench. Take my piece of wood, which is also a piece of offcut. Line it up with the back of the table saw top and super glue it. Once it's super glued and in place, I will then screw it to the base and then put the fence on. The reason why I use such a thin base for my tenon jig is because I only have a 150mm dado stack. So that's something to consider when buying a dado stack. A 200mm will give you much more reach. In my case, my 150 gives me very little reach above a top like this. That's the finger joint jig done. The only thing you must be really sure of, this one I made a bit wider because it's bigger stock I'm working with than my previous one. So the distance here must be exactly the same as distance here, and the width of this must be exactly this distance. So it's 3 exact distances. And that is basically, of course, the 90° here to this is also very important, as well as the 90 degrees to this. It's a quick and easy jig to make, and I make one almost for every new project. My old one is lying here. It's got a bit of a narrower tongue. This one is a bit wider because our project, the tongues is a bit wider. I also then just in the back glued up the extra piece of wood just for some support and to keep the blade, because you must go to the crown of the blade in the center of your wood. The piece that sticks out can be quite dangerous. So I just glued another piece of wood over that and then cut right through it. And the way she's going to work, she's going to cut up to the crown of the blade, which is approximately there. You'll see in the videos coming how I use this jig. Here we go, guys, finger joints made. Not too bad for the first set of finger joints. There's a little bit of tear out here and there, and the thickness still a bit of a problem, but with a bit of sanding I'm sure we're going to win that. So guys, as you've seen, I put it through the drum sander just to reduce the thickness a bit and to get this flush. It's not a bad joint. Now we can glue it up. So guys, when attempting a glue up like this, it takes quite a while to get the glue in all the fingers. So have everything ready, your glue, your brushes, your wet rag and your clamps, your little waste blocks. Have everything ready before you start the glue up. Don't start searching for something once the glue is on. There we are, guys, clamped up, glued up. I had to put a long clamp corner to corner just to pull it into square properly. And she is really now as square as they come. Sorry, can't focus there. Yeah, there. As square as they come. Inside corners nice and clean. And a handy little tip to get the glue out in the corners like that. My little steel rule works a charm just to scratch the corners clean. So guys, what I mean is we're cutting to the crown of the blade. This is now very exaggerated, but if you don't make the cut right through, that's what you're going to end up with. This is very exaggerated. Even just a little bit in the back corner will cause your block not to go seat down to the bottom. You always want your crowns flat for a better joint. There we are, guys, finger joints done. They're not all perfect. There's a little bit of tear out here and there, but with a little bit of filling before we start the finishing, I think they will look good. Another 3 to go and this project is done. Hi everyone. So just a summary of what made our week easier this week. Number one, in my opinion, definitely the dado stack and the table saw. It's not very cheap to come by, and they're quite difficult to come by at the moment in South Africa. One thing that I must advise or warn you about is, as you have seen in the video now, the size of the dado stack. If you can opt for the 200mm dado stack or 4 inches, the 150mm, sometimes it limits you, especially in something like this where we made the thicker finger joints. So if you can find one, it's a nice investment. It's a good investment. Not cheap, quite expensive at the moment here in South Africa, and there's a few ones that it's on the market that's the cheaper ranges, but it's horrible. It's really, once you've cut something with that, it looks like a cone. Make sure you get a proper dado stack. Number 2, in my opinion, the water-based paints. I told you that it doesn't clean so easy. This is what the brush looks like after hot water and soap, and I cleaned it about 5 minutes after I painted the picture frame or the A-frame that we built this week. This stuff really, it can be as much of an headache as it can be a pleasure. And water-based paint has got its place. You can't use water-based paints. We've just come back from a friend of ours where we have an Easter egg hunt every year, and the paint shop also advised him no water-based paint on his wooden window frames. We went and looked at it. It's been on there 12 months now. It looks horrible. Really, so I don't think water-based paints is really for exterior use. Interior use, wonderful. If you use a base coat before you use the water-based paints, works a charm. As you can see, nice coverage. On a spray gun, absolute nightmare. Paintbrush, I'll use it again, but not for anything. So water-based paints, definitely it's got its place. Then something that really made my life easier this week is my little silicone brush that lots of people laugh at. But this brush is already close to 1.5 years old, and I've done so many glue applications with this. You leave it to dry. Once it's dry, you just pull off the glue and it comes straight off. Normal PVA glue doesn't stick to the silicone. Lots of people just use a basting brush. The basting brush, what I found is the bristles might be too long, so you might just cut them shorter, and that will work for you. I buy my glues in 5-liter containers, my normal PVA glue. I do have specialty glues, waterproof and quick drying, and other glues but that I buy in the normal small little tins. But my water-based glues, or my PVA glues, I buy in 5 liters and just refill my glue bottle as I go. So the message I wanted to bring home with a frame is to make some extra money at home. It's possible with limited tools. You don't need a dado stack to do it. You can do it with a chisel and a hammer. You can do it with a handsaw. You can do it with just a single blade on your table saw. The rest was quite easy. Nothing without that limits everybody or anybody. So I think in the day and age we're at, my household definitely needs the extra income at the moment. And this really helps. Small jobs like this, stuff that you can do in the woodshop, that doesn't take so much. So please guys, don't use tools as an excuse. There's lots of people, I know people that's got wood shops that basic hand tools, and they do pallet furniture and they do very well. So woodwork, it's relaxing. This is my little heaven, this is my getaway. And while doing that, making some extra pocket money to support the household, it's always a bargain. So friends, go out there, make some dust. Whatever you do, do it well. Enjoy your week.